friends, and welcome to my channel. My name is Kate. In today's video, we're going to be sewing our Designer Mystery block of the month for 2024. So this is what our first block is going to look like right here. What I'm going to do in this video is go ahead and sew the block, and then I will also sew the finishing part of each block with each video. The reason why I'm doing it different this year, it's because with the previous Designer Mystery that we just completed, I think I waited a little too long to sew the finishing component for each block, and it became a little tedious. So with this one, I'm going to cut out the first part, which is the finishing part for 6, and then the next video I'll do the next finishing part for the next 6, and then I will just kind of sew it as we go along in this one. You may be asking, how do I know what the finishing kit looks like? Well, I bought the kit. I compare purchasing the kit versus buying your own yardage, and honestly, I think purchasing the kit a lot of the time is more worth it, and you get more for your money. You get leftover fabric that you can use for other things or incorporate into other projects. So with that being said, this is what the finishing kit box came in. I starched my fabric ahead of time, and I did cut them. It's a mystery. I don't want to show the finishing pattern part of the quilt because it is a mystery, and there are some of you who didn't purchase the finishing kit. Now, if you do want to purchase the finishing kit, there are still some left on the website as of the day I'm taping this video at fatquartershop.com, so you can purchase one. But I don't think it'll be fair for those who didn't purchase the kit and wants it to remain a mystery. So that's why I'm not going to be showing it, but there will be hints along the way when I sew the blocks and when I sew the finishing component that will let you know what it looks like. As far as me showing the actual finishing component, I don't think I'm going to be doing that. But if you purchase the kit, you already know what it looks like. So with that being said, let's start sewing block number 1 of our Designer Mystery block of the month, block 1. So I have here the pieces for block number 1. I think this is going to probably be the easiest block for the entire sew along for this. So I don't know, I think I'm going to brace myself for the rest of them. So here's the block that we're going to be sewing today. This is our block number 1 of our Designer Mystery block of the month. The designer for this month is Ann Sutton. Now the first thing we're going to do here is take our piece C and make a elongated flying geese. So we're going to do that, taking our piece E and sew it to make the heart. So I'm going to sew 2 of them. And I don't need to draw the line in the middle because I have right here are my 1/4 inch seam allowance tape that I am using. And then I'm going to come back and sew the other side. So I'm going to come around and sew this other side to make my flying geese. So now that both of these are sewn together, this is the step 1 that we have to do. We needed to make 2 of this. Now they are not pressed right now. So what I'll do is sew more of the pieces, then I'll press everything all together. Our next step is to take this same piece and then sew our D pieces to the bottom of them, the bottom of one of them. So we're gonna sew it like this. I think you know where this is going. So we're gonna sew this D piece going this way. And then we're going to take this piece and we're going to sew with it going this way. And we're going to make 1 of each. Before I trim, I'm going to make sure that I did it right. And yes, I did. So we're going to make a heart. I'm not going to save this part right here. I'm just going to cut it and discard it. I think it'll be okay. All right. With this one, we are going to press to the pink. So now what I'm doing is just sewing both components together. And I am going to press open. The next step is to take our 2 pieces of letter A fabric and connect it to both sides. So that's what I'm doing now. So now this is done. We're going to press it away from where we have seam, and we're going to come back and do the other side. Okay, so now this is done. I'm just gonna go ahead and press it. And so our next step, we have 4 of our B fabric, and then we have 2 of our F fabric. So what we're going to do is sew 1 onto each side like that. And that's what I'm gonna do now, and then I'll meet you here. So both of these are completed and they're so light right now you can't see it because it's like a pastel, like a aqua color. It's really hard to see through the camera, but I'll hold it up so you can see. That's what it looks like. I've sewn B and F together and I made 2 of them. The next thing we're doing is taking these pieces that we just sewn and connect all 3 of them together and just sew these to the top and this one to the bottom. So that's what I'm going to do now. So now our third step is all connected. So our next step is to just sew this finishing part on. It's kind of like sewing a log cabin block for me right now, at least. So we're just going to sew this finishing part on. So right now our block is completed, but I am not done yet. I'm going to sew the finishing component on to both sides so that way I can be finished with this. So what I'm going to do now, I've sewn on the roof. So I'm going to sew the finishing component on so I can have one big block with the finishing part sew onto it. So what I'm going to do is take our piece from the finishing kit that I've already cut out. I'm gonna sew it onto the side and that's what I'm gonna do now. So that's the top of the roof is already sewn. So I'm gonna put it over there. So now we have both our pieces sewn onto the side. I'm gonna take the S piece and sew it to the bottom, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do now is going ahead and trim this piece to what it's supposed to be. Then I will sew on the background that is needed. So now the next thing we're doing is taking our piece C fabric, which is 2 of them, and we're going to sew to both right and left side. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to put this top roof over there. The reason why there is a seam right here, y'all, let me just bring it closer to you so you can see, is because I cut the wrong pieces, and in order for me to have the right size that I needed to sew the pieces together so I can have what I need and not waste fabric. So that's why you have a seam right there, because I cut wrong and I made a mistake, and that's okay. Now looking at it, you're not going to know that I sew them together if I didn't tell you. By the time it's all quilted, it's gonna be okay. So just thought I'd point that out so y'all can see it. So now this is all done. This is what we are looking like right now. And remember, this is where our block stopped, but I am sewing on the component as we go on, so that way I don't get behind. So now what we're doing is sewing the roof on. And I wanted to point out, let me put this over here, in the pattern, when you are cutting in the diagram, they don't have, for the second piece, which is right here in the diagram, they don't have this sewn on. They don't show this part right here, but they do have you cut out the right pieces on the cutting diagram. So just remember, if you purchase the kit, you are going to sew on the square piece right here for sew and flip. I just want to point that out. So there is a diagram pictured wrong in the pattern. So just pay attention. You're going to sew your corner piece. Even though the diagram did not show it, you're still going to sew it on, okay? So for this part, I am going to pin just because it's a larger piece and I want to make sure that my fabric is kind of matching. So that's what I'm going to do now, is just pin. Now I'm just going to sew and we will be done. Here is block number 1 all completed with the finishing component all sewn on, so you can get an idea of how the sew along is going to go for this year's Designer Mystery. So here we go. As you can see right here, our block number 1 started from right here to right here. So what I did was just add on the sides and the finishing component that goes with it, simply because I did not want to wait to the end and do all the sewing that entails. That's our first block all completed for our Designer Mystery Block of the Month from Factwater Shop, and I hope that you are sewing along with me. I know this is a little bit late, but it is summer and we have a lot going on, and I do apologize for that, but like I said, my kids are home and it is what it is right now, so just bear with me until we can get through this summer together. Anyways, with that being said, you guys, I have completed my block number 1 from our Designer Mystery Block of the Month, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe down below, and I would love to see you in my next video. Have a great day. Bye.